Let me paint you guys a picture. It's August, you're sitting in an airport, and you begin reading Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Then you sit on a beach, you continue to read this book, and you keep thinking to yourself, oh my god, this may be my favorite book I've read this year. That feeling's great until you close the book, you write it on Goodreads, you talk about it in a YouTube video, maybe even more than one, and you realize that a piece of you is now missing because you closed a 5-star book. The plot thickens when you try to continue reading more books and none of them hit the same. So then you go on a wild goose chase trying to find a book that resembles anything of a 5-star feeling, and that is how this video came to be. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mara, if you did not know that. You did know. It means you've probably been here before. In that case, welcome back. Today I had a really odd day, and I came home and I was like, I really just want to read, and I figured because I haven't really read a 5-star book in like a month-ish that I should do a video of me reading until I find a 5-star book. So I'm gonna start this now. It's September 1st, and I'm just gonna keep reading every single day until I find a book that is 5 stars, and we're just gonna end this video off whenever that book comes that is a 5-star read. Currently, I'm in the middle of 2 books. I'm currently reading Mile High, which is the first book in the Windy City series. I'm liking it so far. I don't think it's gonna be 5 stars, but I started this like last week, and I've only read like a chapter or 2, but I'm currently also reading Physically If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, I believe. This is like a literary thriller fiction. I don't know like really what to classify this as. Nothing's really happening in here. Oh, that was my bookmark that just fell on the floor. Sick. I don't really know everything going on in here so far. Nothing's really like happening of too much importance, but I just figured I would start this now so you guys know kind of what I'm currently reading, and then as I continue reading until I end up finding a book that is 5 stars, I'm just gonna share my thoughts with you guys. This could take a week and a half, 2 weeks, or it could take 2 months. So I just want to start this now in case it wound up taking me a while. I had already started. It's a few days later, and I just want to say that I have not picked up If We Were Villains for a little bit. The style of the book is just not my favorite. I'm also not like a theater person at all, so they're saying like a bunch of theater terms that I have no idea what's going on. It's really good. Like I feel like I could enjoy it. I just need a break from it. So I switched over to reading Mile High. I'm about 72% of the way through this book, and I really like it. Right now it's sitting at like a 4.5, between a 4.5 and a 4.75. If this book ends up being a 5-star, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It is really good. I like it a lot. It's about a hockey player named Evan Zanders, and he is kind of an egotistical, arrogant, rude, kind of disgusting type of guy. But you find out later on like the reason why he's kind of putting on this persona that is the kind of guy that he is, but in reality it's not. And he ends up having this workplace tension based, I wouldn't say enemies. She dislikes him. He definitely doesn't dislike her, but she dislikes him because of his persona. Her name is Stevie. I really like her. She's a flight attendant on the team's private jet, so she's always with him, and they end up getting closer and having like deeper conversations and opening up to each other. And then she realizes all of the stuff that isn't true about Evan that is out on the news. He's like, I've been telling you, like that's not how I actually am, but you're not taking my word for it. Like this is just how they want me to act. So he has an insane turnaround, which is really great. A lot of people I saw DNF'd this book because of his character, so it's really nice to see that he actually had a decent turnaround, and it wasn't like they got together and he was just like a good guy. Like he's consistently been a good guy in the past, but had to like cover it up because his agent was like, you're not gonna make as much money if you end up being like the super soft, sweet guy. I don't think it's gonna be a 5-star, but it's gonna be really close. I finished Mile High. I am gonna give it 4.25 out of 5. Something happened in the book, a trope that I don't like. It didn't squash the rating, but it definitely bumped it down a little bit. I think it's a really great book. Like I really liked it, but it's just not a 5-star. And you know what? That's okay. I am starting the next book in the series, and that is The Right Move. I don't think this one is gonna be a 5-star just because I don't really like basketball like at all, which sounds really stupid, but it's a basketball romance. Basically it's following Stevie from Mile High, her brother Ryan, and Stevie's friend from work Indy, and Indy like moves in with Ryan. You know that from Mile High, so that's like kind of how they set it up for you. But I'm only like 3 pages in. I don't really have anything to say right now. I like Ryan's character. I like him as an individual, but I haven't seen him like in a romantic setting yet, so I don't really know how he's going to be in that way, but I've heard people love him. It has been a few days. I just wanted to pick up where I left off talking about the books I was reading and my ratings and all of that. It took a few days to just like read and read and read. None of them were 5 stars, otherwise I would have come back sooner. I already told you about Mile High. I already told you, I think, about The Right Move. If I did, I'll just edit it out, but if I didn't, I gave The Right Move a 4.75 out of 5. I really, really liked it for the same reason that I bumped Mile High down like a little bit in the rating, was the same exact thing that happened in The Right Move. Not a 5-star, but I did, however, really, 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 really enjoy the characters. I really loved their dynamic. I loved Indy. She was so, so great. I really liked their relationship and their story. It just wasn't a 5. It was so close. If this one thing hadn't happened, it easily would have been a 5-star. Then I read Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This one I was really excited about. I'd been wanting to read it for a while, and I could not figure out how I wanted to rate it once I finished it. It's about kind of the retelling of Queen of Hearts, how she became who she was. She basically has this arranged marriage that is expected of her. She's gonna marry the King of Hearts, and she's like, I really don't want to do that. I just want to own a bakery. If you guys have seen Alice in Wonderland, the Queen of Hearts like bakes these tarts and things like that. So she basically wants to be a baker with her best friend, but the only reason why her parents are sort of okay with her being a baker is because that's how she essentially wins over the king. They just want her to be married to royalty. She ends up in this arranged marriage with him, and she's like, I really don't like him. I don't want to be with him. She ends up forming a connection with the king's Joker, who goes by Jest, who would have thought, and he ends up like taking her out on these journeys and adventures. And basically, if you guys know the Queen of Hearts, like, she's not a very great person. Like, I mean, I guess she is considered like the villain in Alice in Wonderland to like some extent, but she's not like this villainous person deep down. She's just seeking revenge. Think Maleficent, like that was all like based on revenge. She's not really like a bad person. It's just bad motives based around wanting to get back at somebody. I really, really liked it. At first I was like really bored because I'm not a huge fairy tale fantasy person. I really like adventure and high stakes and like dragons and things like that, and this was fantasy, but it was fairy tale fantasy, and I already knew the story. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I really, really, really liked it, but it just was not fully a 5 for me. I just don't think it's the type of fantasy that I like, and that's totally fine. That's just my own taste. I definitely think that other people could find this to be a 5-star read. I've recommended it to so many people already, and I really, really enjoyed reading it. Like, I couldn't put it down once things really started going, but I still really liked it. It just wasn't a 5. So we're gonna keep going. When I read a book that actually makes me feel things and gives me a 5-star feeling, I will let y'all know. I'm still searching for it. I cannot find her anywhere. They've just been like mediocre, so I feel no reason to even update you guys on them, but obviously that's the whole point of this video, so I'm gonna do that now, and I'm going to be more on it because I feel like I've been slacking. I read the entire The Summer I Turned Pretty series because I needed to know details of what is gonna happen in the future. So the first book, I think I gave 3 stars. I gave 3 stars to the second book, and I gave 3.5 to the third. I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I'd read this book already 2 years ago, and I gave it 2 stars. I gave it 2 stars again. I thought it would go up, and it did not. I have not been able to get into any of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. I've read multiple. I've read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo twice. I've read Malibu Rising. I've read Daisy Jones. Like, I can't get into them. I don't know if it's the writing or the characters. Like, I just don't like the characters. I didn't like Evelyn. I didn't like her the first time, but I felt like I was supposed to, so I was like, let me reread this. I didn't like her the second time. I just feel like she does Celia so dirty, and it makes me so upset. I understand, like, it's a story about a closeted woman with all of these husbands, but she's secretly in private in love with a woman. The plot of it sounds fantastic. The only thing I don't like about it is my interpretation. This is what I think of this, but I know other people think the same, so that's why I'm saying this. She pushes aside Celia for all of these roles that she's in. She's doing things like she'll like sleep with men for gain in movies because she thinks that's the only way she's going to get anywhere in movies, is if she like does these obscure crazy things to keep her name in the press because she wants to be famous. She literally was like, oh, like, Celia's not gonna like it if I like sleep with this man for this role, but she doesn't tell her until after she does it. And then Celia's like, yeah, that made me really upset. Why would you do that? Like, I really don't like that you did that. And she's like, well, like, you knew it was wrong and you did it anyway. That's why I don't like Evelyn Hugo. But I also read The Grimrose Girls. I gave this 2.5 stars. This book was really cool. It's about these 4 girls, and there's a murder in their friend group. They're all away at this prep school, and they get this new roommate in, and everyone's kind of pissed off about it because there's a new roommate sleeping in their old best friend's bed, and they're like, our best friend died. Like, we don't want someone new to just be thrown in here. Like, there should be some care and consideration for the fact that our friend died before you throw someone new into our room. Let us grieve. But after this roommate comes in, all these like weird events taking place, and they're realizing that their friend that died, everyone says is a suicide, but it's probably not, and they're all talking about these other deaths that have happened, all of which are students or old students of the school, and they realize that they're all connected to fairy tales. So they're kind of trying to uncover that. I just felt like it was really slow. I didn't love it, and I felt like the back was a little bit deceiving. And in the sequel is when they actually like find everything out. Like, you find out kind of what's happening and what's going on in the first book, but in the second book is when they actually like go on these adventures, are doing things to save the girls that are dying. This all could have been in one book, considering it was like 400 pages. I was like, 400 pages of them just being like, oh no, what's going on? Like, I got real tired of that real fast. I'm currently reading a few books. I'm currently reading Collide, which is a hockey romance book, which, as you guys know, I'm a hockey romance book stan. I'm filming 2 reading vlogs this week, so I'm reading a lot. I'm reading Collide. I'm also reading Twisted Love is a reread. I'm gonna read that today. I am just aching for a 5-star book. I haven't read one in 2 months now, and it's making me really sad. So I really, really, really would like to have one. Love. The first time I read this, it was 4 stars. I didn't think it was gonna be 5 stars, but I didn't think it was gonna go down, and it did. I don't know what the rating is right now. My September wrap-up is already out, so you guys will know before I do, but I have no clue. I have the rest of the series, and I'm going to read the rest of the series. Like, this book is entertaining, but it's entertaining to the point where it's like, this is just so ridiculous. This book, if I haven't mentioned it, it's a brother's best friend romance, but like gone wrong. Not like a sweet, nice romance. He's a very, very vulgar man. He's involved in some not great things. She has a lot of trauma that comes from her childhood, and then just like being with him is like not good for her mental health in any way. They just kind of brush it off at the end. Like, all this stuff happens, and then 2 chapters later, they're like totally good. And I just think that's kind of crazy. He's so vulgar in the things that he says, and like the smut made me uncomfortable. I do have the rest of the series we'll be reading, but this one, not a 5-star. What I'm reading next, though, did I tell y'all about Collide? That book is really good. It's about a captain of a hockey team at a college, and he's basically assigned as like the guinea pig for the girls' psychology project type thing. I don't know if it's psychology, I can't remember. It's really good, and I really like it, and I'll talk more about it as I get through it a little bit more. I'm reading it for another video. I'm like a little bit close to halfway. I think I'm like 40%, not entirely sure, but right now I'm gonna read Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren. This is one that I've been wanting to read for a while. I've had this for almost a year and I haven't read it. Chloe, who is working to get her MBA, Bennett, who has this like massive family media business, and she is his assistant, and they butt heads, but it's like workplace romance. This says, despite the rumors, he's never been one for a workplace hookup, but Chloe's so tempting he's willing to bend the rules. So that's what we've got. It seems kind of short. Oh yeah, this is short, and font's like not teeny tiny, so I feel like I could finish this tonight because it's only 7:30. Listen guys, I knew this wasn't gonna be a 5-star, but I didn't think that I was gonna DNF it 100 pages in either. I did, because this book, the back, ridiculously deceiving. I was incredibly uncomfortable reading this. It's just constant smut in the worst way, and there's no plot other than the smut. I know nothing about the main characters other than the fact that they are just unable to contain themselves. So I'm gonna DNF this book. I'm currently reading Collide, like I'd already mentioned, and I really, really like it, so I'm gonna continue reading that, and I think I'm gonna try to finish that tonight because I'm almost halfway through and it's 8:30. I think I can do it. After that, I'm gonna continue reading Magnolia Parks tomorrow. I'm probably gonna finish it because I have a huge gap between classes. Guys, the whole point of this video is for me to find a 5-star book because I was unable to find one after reading Fourth Wing. So for like a good month, almost 2 months, I was searching for a book that was going to give me that feeling, and I could not find one. I read all types of genres. I was reading like romance books that I love, tropes and things that I love, and I just could not find a book that was going to be 5 stars. But we've done it. I have found my most recent 5-star book, my most recent obsession, and you know what? I honestly knew this was going to be a 5-star. So the 5-star book that I have found for this video It's Magnolia Parks. Do you see how much I tabbed it up? I don't know if you can tell because some of the tabs I used are like almost white, so you can't see all of them. I've never tabbed up a book like this before. Like, it has never been this full. I had heard about this book and I was like, why have I not heard about this book a million times already? Like, this came out in 2021, I believe. So it's about 2 years old and I had no clue this existed until a few months ago. And I was like, okay, I need to get my hands on this. I need to read this because this sounds like everything that I would love. And boy, was I right. When I give this a 5-star, I never really like to go on Goodreads beforehand and look at it and look at ratings and reviews and all that. Unless it's a book that I've like never heard of. If it's a book that a random bookstore find that I've never heard anybody talk about before, then I'm gonna look on Goodreads because it's like, do I want to spend $20 on a book? I have no idea what this is about. I have no idea what other people think of it. I don't want to just like waste money on a book that I'm not gonna like. But with this, I was like, I don't want to go into it with expectations that other people are gonna put in my brain because I don't want it to be ruined. I looked at reviews and ratings afterwards. A lot of people were like, this book is really good, really entertaining, but it's so toxic. Agree. It is very, very, very toxic. If you've read this book, you just can't deny it. Like, it's toxic. These people are dependent on each other, and if they see the other person with somebody else, they go do drugs or they hook up with somebody like right around them. Like, it's a very toxic dynamic. What made this a 5-star for me, because the whole time I was reading it, I was like, okay, toxic relationship, I know this already. And I knew going into it that it was a toxic relationship. The passion that they had for each other, I can't explain it, and I'm not justifying the fact that it was a toxic relationship. Like, it 100% was. It's not necessarily about the relationship that made this a 5-star, it's just about the writing and the way it was delivered. I loved the writing of this book and I loved the way things were said. Cut me and I'd bleed him. Are you so for real? There's just certain things in this book that I read and I was like, I've never read anything like that before. The way things were said or described, it was just so amazing. Something else about this book, I was thinking this morning. I love Mariana Zapata books. I love the plot. I always enjoy them, but they're so slow burn to the point where it's like 400 pages in and they still haven't even like brushed past each other. And this was slow burn, but like it was done well. They would have each other and then they'd lose each other and then they'd come back and they'd lose each other. And normally like I would hate that, but I think because you're seeing both perspectives and you're seeing both point of views, you know like what the other person is thinking, so it doesn't ever feel like there's miscommunication because they are communicating. Honesty is what they don't want to hear. Like, they want the honesty, but then they get it and it makes them upset. So it's relatable. The whole time I was reading this and I was like, this is a 4-star, this is 4 stars, maybe 4.5, but it's not gonna be a 5-star. I closed the book and I literally felt something leave my body. I closed this book and I was like, now what am I supposed to do? The whole week I just devoted my time to reading this and I loved reading it and I felt so excited reading it and I got excited to be able to read it that when it was over I was like, oh my god. It gave me a 5-star feeling. The book itself, it's a 5-star, but the relationship, like, don't go into it thinking this is gonna be like a healthy relationship, but it was entertaining. I was on the edge of my seat, I could not put it down, and when I closed it I felt like a part of me was missing. I listened to playlists when I read it, I was looking at Pinterest boards after, and I was like, you know what, that's how I know it was a 5-star. This is my new obsession. I've already started reading Daisy Hates. I already have it tabbed a little bit. I'm obsessed, and without a doubt that was a 5-star book. I feel like if I were to judge books really harshly, like, I would never have a 5-star book. No book would ever be a 5-star. So I kind of have to like have fun with it and know what things I like in a book, and just the fact that like, yes, this book is very toxic, like the relationships are very toxic, but it's a fictional book. Remember that, first of all, and second of all, I just had fun reading it, and in reality, like, I'm just reading for fun. The fact that this book gave me like all of those fun feelings and made me want to like listen to music based on the characters while I was reading, look at Pinterest boards, look at like fan art and like the aesthetics and things like that. That's how I know that like I loved it and it was a 5-star. So I'm so happy. That's where I'm gonna end this video because that was the whole point. I definitely want to do a video like this in the future because it was really fun. I don't know how much quality content I actually got because I was trying not to replicate what I was doing in other videos because I've been filming quite a lot of like reading vlogs in the past few weeks, and obviously this is like a span over a period of time, so I didn't want to just like load up with so much content that was the same that you've seen a million other times on my channel in the past few weeks. Now that I know kind of what I'm getting into, I can try to format it differently, but I loved doing this. This was so fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and I will see you when I see you.